play right, cause they can't miss. All about the game, that's a cold switch. Serving up the truth, call it ruthless. Tune in and get your fix from Blake and Vish Sports.
And in the past, but it's only getting brought up now by sort of national media because they've looked really good the first two games. And that's the Raiders, and the quarterback is Derek Carr, and how great he's looked. Has he been an MVP? Maybe, but Vish, what are your thoughts on him so far?
Yeah, I mean, I put the MVP caliber tagline in this because I think that's the kind of season he's having right now. If you ask me who the top three MVP candidates are after two games, obviously it's 2 games, 2 out of 17. We're a long way away from actually having this discussion. It would be Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Derek Carr. Those are the three, and Matthew Stafford. Those would be the four I would say that are in the conversation. I mean, Mahomes, Lamar, those guys are probably still there, but like those are the four that have really stood out. And I think part of it is because I did not expect this Oakland team to, or excuse me, this Las Vegas team to be good this season. I still think they have holes on their defense. I think their defense has played more or less a bit better than what I expected. Though I thought they struggled against Baltimore. I thought Baltimore hurt themselves with self-inflicted wounds, like Lamar fumbling the football. That's a Baltimore mistake, not really caused by the Raiders defense. Though Mad Max Crosby dominated that game. He dominated Villanueva like nobody else. And then I think Pittsburgh's offense is stale. I don't think it looks any better than last year. I think it looks every bit as bad as it did last year. And I think they have a lot of the same issues. But the shocking thing is we knew that this Raiders offense was really good last year. I think we've talked about it before. We talked about how we felt Derek Carr was underrated. But I personally thought they would take a step back when they lost Rodney Hudson. And they made a lot of movement around in their offensive line. Of course, Big Trent Brown was in and out of the lineup for them after they gave him that large contract. But when he played, he was always pretty good for them. And so I wasn't sure with all this shakeup how it would be. And, Derek Carr, ever since he broke that leg, he's been a little bit weary when he hasn't had the greatest protection and he's getting hit. He hasn't played at the same level that we know he's capable of. And this year, Derek Carr has just come out firing. He was a little bit erratic to start that Raiders-Ravens game. We were streaming during that, and then I went back and watched it. He was a bit erratic. But since he heated up in the middle of the second quarter of that game, he's just been on fire. Derek Carr, I think, is the most – we talked about underrated quarterbacks earlier this offseason. You brought up Tannehill. I brought up Baker Mayfield. It's probably Derek Carr. He is unbelievable. I think he's playing at an MVP level. I think his physical traits get underrated. He's got a really strong arm. He's really accurate. He moves around really well. He's got a quick release. And we're just seeing him make play after play. We saw him destroy cover zero versus the Ravens. The ball to Bryan Edwards was unbelievable. The ball to Zay Jones to win the game. He's wide open, but he still got it there, and he knew he was going to be under heavy pressure when he threw that ball. The ball to Henry Ruggs, both balls to Henry Ruggs. The game clincher against the Steelers and then the one against the Ravens is unbelievable. I think him and Gruden are on an incredible wave. We'll see if that carries over because Gruden is known to start strong, especially with teams that we underestimate. And by November, we'll be thinking, wow, this John Gruden team, maybe John Gruden's really that good coach. And then they get to December and bad things happen in December and they end somewhere around 500 and we're back to the Gruden conversation of, is he a good coach? Is he not a good coach? But 2 games into the season, Derek Carr, I think, has been blowing everybody away. I'm so excited to watch him against Miami this weekend because I think it'll put this Raiders offense to a great test because Miami's obviously got a very good defense. They made Josh Allen struggle on Sunday. It was just that their offense was anemic without Tua. And so I'm excited to see how Miami does in terms of matching up with this offense because, man, Derek Carr looks good. Man, he looks good.
I think that's a great point with the O-line in that just this offseason they kind of retooled it a little bit. And a lot of people thought like, oh, they're going to fall off for sure. And it really hasn't seemed like that at all. And I don't think they upgraded too majorly on offense just in any way. I know they brought in Kenyon Drake, Bryan Edwards a year older, and they have a younger sort of receiving core. They lost Aguilar, but they have, Ruggs, Edwards, and third and Renfro, who's still killing it. But I don't think that their offense has gotten a lot better and has this great supporting cast that's propping him up. I really don't think that at all. The only dominant player besides him on the offense is Waller, who's one of the 3 best tight ends in the league. And obviously the first game he got targeted 20 times, 20 targets to a tight end, and that obviously didn't happen in game 2. He was keyed in on a lot on the deep bomb to Ruggs. It was Waller was actually getting double teamed, and then so the safety was coming down. I want to say it was Minka, and then he threw it over the
It
top
was
of him.
Minka. Yeah, Minka came down on Waller, giving up the post to Ruggs.
Yeah, and he made a throw with a guy right in his face it was 3rd and 10, very far away too. Overall, just an absolutely great throw by him. And even throughout the game too, I just thought in general, like his timeliness of 3rd down conversions to Renfro, just all the time. Like you knew where it was going and you still couldn't stop it. And then his movement in the pocket is fantastic. How many times did he have to evade just a guy coming around the edge and him having to step up or step to the side? Like it seemed pretty frequently that had to happen, and he managed the pocket really, really well. So I really am with you on. He's been one of the 5 best quarterbacks so far to start the year. And you're right about Gruden. Like they always start off hot and then fade away. And for whatever reason, they always beat the teams they shouldn't and lose to the teams they should beat. Like if you remember last year, I want to say it was week 4 or 5. They played the Saints. It was a primetime game.
Week 2.
Yeah, week 2.
It
Yeah,
was the opening of the Vegas Stadium.
Yeah, they beat the Saints, and everyone's like, "Man, this Raiders team's for real." They were in playoff hunt, midway through the year, and it kind of fell off at the end. But it could be the same old Raiders, or maybe Derek Carr's just gotten a lot better, and this Rappaport's just better in general with the offense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think there's enough superlatives for his play. It's really been unreal. And I do want to give a shout out to Henry Ruggs. If you remember, we did our receiver rankings about December of last year of rookie receiver rankings, and I had Henry Ruggs 5th. And my point with Henry Ruggs was that I just felt like the Raiders weren't utilizing him. I felt like they were just using him as a decoy to just run, and he was basically a clear out route for a lot of their concepts to get Waller open and others. Well, so far through 2 weeks, we're seeing why they picked Henry Ruggs 12th overall. That his speed is devastating, and he's been a big time playmaker for them, a clutch playmaker to match with how unbelievable Derek Carr has been. Um, I think my other takeaway also to go with Ruggs is there's just so many good quarterbacks in the NFL. There's so many good ones. Like if I was to rank quarterbacks based on last year, what I've seen, and 2 weeks into this year, I don't even know if Carr would be in the top 10. And here we are talking about Carr as this big time quarterback talent. And you look at Carr's numbers and they're big time. And you look at what Carr is doing and it's big time. I think the league is more quarterback friendly, but I also think these players are just more talented and better across the board. I mean, you look at what Aaron Rodgers was doing in 2011. It was an anomaly to see a guy move around and to be able to throw like that. Now we have so many guys in the league that can move around, make off-platform throws, that make big-time plays with their arms, that make big-time off-schedule plays. And I just feel like there's so many good quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't think we've ever had this many good quarterbacks in the NFL. Like I legitimately think there's like 15 guys that are good enough to win. You can win a Super Bowl with that are above average quarterbacks, and Carr is definitely one of them.
Might even be more than that. I mean, depending on where you have Jimmy Garoppolo, I'd say most people have him around like 18 or 19. And I mean, the 49ers made a Super Bowl with him. I would say he's debatably an above average quarterback for when he has a good supporting cast. Like you're going to win a lot. And I would compare that to like 10 years ago. Like Jimmy Garoppolo would be more than just like the 18th best quarterback. He would be viewed as a lot higher than that. Even a few years ago, he was. And guys like Kirk Cousins too. Like, where would you rank him on your list? Because I'd say
he's probably 15th or 14th.
Yeah, he's an above average quarterback, but 10 years ago, he would be looked at as like a top 10 guy easily, I'd imagine. So it is kind of crazy how many good quarterbacks there are right now.
Yeah, and I also think we're getting to a point where we're starting to appreciate just good quarterback play by itself. I felt like when I was younger, especially, if you weren't Rodgers, if you weren't Brady, if you weren't Manning, if you weren't Ben Roethlisberger, Breeze, you just got a bunch of criticism. Like I felt like the Matt Ryans, Matthew Staffords, Tony Romo's, Carson Palmer's, that Phillip Rivers, that tier of quarterback that was always filling up, somewhere between 7 to 12, 13 in the league. people never appreciated them. It was always about what they couldn't do rather than what they were doing. And a lot of them were really, really good. They were just stuck in bad situations. I think we've gotten better as a football viewing community at watching these quarterbacks and appreciating them, even when, things aren't right around them when they're playing really well. And I think it's good to see.
Definitely. So that's Derek Carr. So he's been amazing so far to start the year. Will he continue, or will the Raiders do what they've done the last couple of years and start off hot and sort of sizzle down during the end of the year? We shall see.